All right. Welcome, everybody. Back to another... Well, as soon as I turn on my microphone, because once again, Windows has decided now is the time to continue to just mess with my microphone volume. Or, whatever it wants to do, as it is wont to do. There we go. Now we're back at the right volume. Welcome, everybody. My name is Fettuccini, and we're once again diving into another week of Osborne Motors Endurance Challenge. Week number 7. Our last sprint week of the season at Imola and then at Monza. We're going over to Italy for a pair of races this afternoon. We got a whole bunch of drivers out on track. A few more trickling in to get our first of 2 underway. Flying solo in the booth today, so that means I'm going to be pulling in drivers from the league party chat, as I am wont to do every now and then. As always, the sprint weeks have 2 tracks, 8-minute solo qualifying that we're deep in the middle of right now, with a 30-minute race for each, meaning no refuels. These are full fuel races we've had this season. A few more drivers still piling in as well, trying to get lap times in. Lap times largely looking to be in the 1:41s, with some in the 1:42s. I can't remember whether or not I've introduced myself. It's been a heck of a couple of weeks for me. I'm glad to be back in the booth. It's been a part of my life I have deeply missed. I've been deep in helping set up and operate and run a sim racing experience and bar venue. You're missing a front end, Wesley Woods. What the heck happened? Wesley, what happened to your front end?
Well, I came around that last bend and the rear end got away from me.
Oh,
and
okay.
I kind of ate the wall, you know.
Okay. Fair
My
enough.
car's on an all-wall diet, so
Gotcha.
if you see that again, just know that's what's up.
Yeah, it's happened twice. All right, well, I'll let you get back to this last qualifying lap. Good luck.
All right, you have a good one.
You too. I was just curious, and since he was floating around, we'll give him a quick question. For those of you that are curious, it is a 4.86 kilometer, which is just under 3 miles. In the city of Imola, as the name implies, it's the Automobile Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari, the fancy title. We had our one rain race in last week's endurance format, and I've heard good reviews. We'll have to talk to some more people over the course of this race as well, get some more feedback, because I'm just curious. But largely, it sounds like it was a good time. Got a few drivers left putting in lap times. Take a look over here at the race board. Get a quick idea of what those times look like before we get into the race itself. See some fastest times there. A lot of 141s, a lot of 142s, 142s, 143, 144s. Excuse me. All going to be in that range as well. An idea, quick thing we need to talk about because I want us to make sure we're covering it as well. Points. Had a bit, I wouldn't say really a shake-up, but a bit of a change in the points over the course of this last couple of weeks while I've been away. So let's talk about that real quick. Points. Nicholas Maynard is going to be leading the GT3 Pro division with 485 points, 9 points ahead of his teammate Dan Griffin. Alongside him, those two, between Nate Sides as well as Nick Tyrrell, that are 4 points away from each other, battling out for that last spot on the podium. Casey Jones rounding up the top 5 with Kevin Hayes, Sergey Perot, Patrick Cantrell, William Lemaster, and Andre Saba rounding out that top 10 for this GT3 Pro division. 20 drivers so far putting points down this season at one spot or another. GT3 AM, a little bit of a smaller division, but no less important. Timothy Schaefer having a roaring start that would put him, by the way, for record, in between Patrick Cantrell and William Lemaster in the pro category. So definitely having some pretty solid results there for Timothy Schaefer. Landon Orr as well, consistently getting some good finishes in, which has put him into P2. Tom Leeson rounding out the top 3 with Zachary Holden and Hayden Mamenga, the 2 teammates together rounding out the top 5. Wesley Woods, Richard Costanza, Colton Toney, Evan Fisher, Jared Petit, as well as Grayson Parks rounding out 11 drivers of the 15. Franciera, Colin Olson, Ken Duval, as well as Charles Rotes, rounding out those 15 drivers for this season. Team standings, because it's important to me. We cover those as well. Tim Schaefer, GOAT, TBH. I mean, it makes sense. Tim Schaefer definitely feels like he's going to get promoted to between seasons at this point. Oh, I was very concerned that there was a dog in my house, and it's not. It's just my family watching Steven Universe. Hunter Force going to lead off the team standings. I think this is right. Let's hit the quick refresh button. Make sure that's up to date. Yes, it is. Awesome. With B&B Racing coming in second, 8 sides, Landon Orr putting some good points in there to keep themselves just under 100 points behind the 100 Force Racing. Prison Pony Pacers, Zachary Holden and Hayden Mamanga, the two teammates rounding out the top 5 in the AM category in third. Again, that consistency getting them everywhere. Tom Leeson, Wesley Woods in fourth there with that Danger Goose Racing. Then Checkers Records, Kevin Hayes and Colton Tony rounding out the top 5, 701 points. Not far. Big battle between the bottom 3 of the top 5 for that bottom step of the podium. That's the English I'm looking for. From there, we have Mystery Inc., Project Zoomies, Veterans United, JT Racing, Prestige Motorsports in the top 10 with Osborne Setup Shop, as well as Real Fast Racing, rounding out the 12 teams we have in the standings. Now we can hit some other buttons, see about this race getting set, gridding underway. Got our statues of various individuals as well. That's a Senna monument there. Abbreviated pace lap coming out of the final few corners. I think really starting in Ascari. Ascari? No. Aqua Minerale. There we go. We're gonna have to go reference our track map. I'm definitely gonna get these two confused if I don't have one on hand. Oh boy. All right. Imola track map, please. All right. There's you. Some good corners, 18, really 19 corners on the track. Starting with 2 good variantes, which are kind of pretty much chicanes before going up to the nice hairpin of Tosa, back down to Piratella, and then through Aqua Minerale. And the last one, Variante Alta. Though, I think I've heard it as Grassini Variante Alta as well amongst those. So that is the corner they're working through right now amongst those. Have a total of 17 drivers out to start this out. Nicholas Maynard and Dan Griffin going to start on the top row of the grid. Speaking of, there it is right there. Kevin Hayes and Nate Sides going to be in third and fourth. Sergey Pro going to be alongside the GT3 AM leader Tim Schaefer for the third row of the grid. 7th, Andre Saba alongside Patrick Cantrell, Nick Terrell, and Nico Vozolo rounding out that top 10 new driver there for our pro category. Tom Leeson, Hayden Mamenga rounding out the 2 other podium spots on the GT3 AM category with the likes of Tyler Roberts, Zachary Holden, Wesley Woods, Landon Orr, and Grayson Parks to round out that 17-car grid. BMW M2 safety car going to peel in. We're waiting for that green flag, of course, which means that all these drivers are going to bunch up behind the 200 Force Mustangs as they get set for another week of racing. Waiting for that green light. It's going to be a little bit of a delay here. It's in terms of when the car is going to peel in and when these drivers are going to hit the gas pedal. You're going to see all these drivers kind of under really as much of a blanket as I think we're going to get here. As I was hoping this would be a good one. There is the green, and it's going to be a great launch out of Nate Sides as well as the likes of Kevin Hayes. Going to make it a pretty busy opening straight. 2 and 3 wide further on back and out in the field. Nico Vozolo in the middle of that top 10. Nicholas Maynard and Dan Griffin going to hold it out 2 wide as Kevin Hayes and Nate Sides hold it 2 wide behind the 2 of them. The 100 Force going to get it paired down. Nate Sides and Kevin Hayes still battling out over who wants to be on the third step of the podium. Sergei Perok right behind him waiting to pick up the pieces. And he's going to try to see what he can capitalize on. Andre Saba also in a pretty good run as well. Keeping a quick onboard as we go through Tosa for the first time. Tim Schafer right behind this Mustang as we look at the top 5 ahead of this driver in the GT3 Pro category. Tim Schafer doing well. Additionally, having a bit of a slow run in terms of sheer positions, but no less important as Nick Tyrrell trying to lean on the door of Tim Schafer in that Porsche. He's going to lose position there. Kevin Hayes going to be into the wall already. That's going to be an unfortunate day for him. The rest of this field working its way through. Hayden Mamenga as well as Landon Orr and Grayson Parks all in a battle for position as well. Wesley Wood, Zachary Holden joining those 2 drivers back there. Meatball flag is out for Kevin Hayes. Let's see what happened here. I'm super curious as to what happened to Kevin Hayes amongst all this. I wonder if it's just too much throttle too quickly. That car gets unsettled on the curbing. Snap oversteer, tries to correct it. Car snaps back the other direction. That left rear just gets clobbered into the tire barrier. And that is all that Aston Martin took in order to get there. So he's going to be back in the pit lane, joining those drivers there. And Nicholas Maynard on a tear. There we go. Gosh, back in the saddle. Forgive me. It's been a little bit of a time. Dan Griffin going to be a second behind him. Nate Sides half a second behind those 2 drivers. Sergei Perok getting a little bit of a gap built between him and Nate Sides up the road. But the rest of the GT3 Pro category, as well as some GT3 AM drivers, all in a train of cars. But Grayson Parks, going to have to rejoin that train at the end after he goes off in the first variante or chicane. Going to be the Tamburello. The rest of the field doing well. Dan Griffin with with a slowdown penalty. It's going to make him have a 2-way fight with Nate Sides, and he's going to let up and let Nate Sides by, open up that gap now between these 2 drivers and Nicholas Maynard by over a second and a half. And the rest of the field starting to pair off into different battles. Tyler Roberts, Tom Leeson going to be in a battle of the Mercedes for what will be essentially, it's not an in-class position, but it's overall position P10. Tom Leeson is one of 2 GT3 AM drivers in the top 10. Tyler Roberts looking for the way around these 4 drivers, all kind of bunched up for a moment. Nate Sides now going to have to trade the slowdown penalties back as he has to serve one as well. He's already given up that position back to Dan Griffin, now under fire once again from Sergei Perok, who had about a second gap there. Sad boy Kev has arrived. Oh no. Do you want to come into the booth and we can talk about it? Top 10 now in 2x2 formation once again. Nico Vizzolo setting the fastest lap of this race so far. Fastest legal lap. Obviously, Nicholas Maynard, not Nate Sides. Nicholas Maynard going to have a 142.15, but there's an off-track involved in that. There's going to be an interesting 2-way fight between Nick Tyrrell and Nico Vizzolo as it stands. Both those drivers now 2 wide going into the Villeneuve Variante, and that's going to be a little bit of contact. They keep it all put together. But Nick Tyrrell going to look for the inside. These 2 going at it quite aggressively as they go through Tosa once again. Landon Orr joining the drivers with a bit of a slowdown penalty. Gets it bled off quite easily. Nick Tyrrell definitely going to be in a bit of a recovery drive there. Zachary Holden joining those drivers. Oh, that has an issue there. That is so easy to do. Slow corners in the GT3 category, sometimes hard to manage. Taking a look back up the order, 4-way fight for the rest of the top 10 between Patrick Cantrell as well as the likes of Tim Schafer, Nick Tyrrell, and Nico Vizzolo, all in about a second and a half gap between those 4 cars. Nico Vizzolo tries to catch up to where Nate Sides, Andre Saba, and Sergei Perok all now have options. Nate Sides been falling down the order over the past couple of laps, having a little bit of slow pace as a result of having to serve, I think, just a consistent amount of slowdown penalties. Amongst all these, Zachary Holden having a bit of a moment. Keeps it out of the wall once again. Leslie Woods on the radio real quick. Nick Tyrrell getting that gap open quite a bit amongst all this. Nate Sides returning the favor with Andre Saba. The two of them going to go too wide as they get into, getting out of Tosa and gets it into Ravazza. Sorry, Piratella. Ravazza is the end of the lap. Andre Saba going to have to yield that position as Nate Sides on the hunt. 3-second gap between these three drivers. Sergey Perot at the front of them, and then Dan Griffin and Nicholas Maynard, both of them running 141s pretty consistently at the moment. Sergey Perot and the head of this battle, through a battle for the bottom step of this podium. And we have this few other battles as well further down. Nicholas Vizzolo once again still fighting with Nick Tyrrell and Tim Schaefer as my iRacing live timing has decided to kick in the music or the sound for the replay button, but not the rest of it. Tyler Roberts and Tom Leeson still within a few tenths of each other. Tyler Roberts unable to find an opportunity to get by successfully. All right. Got everything there. Taking a look at lap times. Taking a look at battles that are still happening. Nate Sides, once again, kind of really utilizing that curb. See as well. Come on, see what a onboard here looks like. Tom Leeson with the off track. And now a slowdown penalty as well. Sergey Perot 0.6 slower this time. Most recent time by. Not a huge indicator. Both of these drivers have had faster laps. And by only real gap in terms of best lap time is going to be a few tenths. Really a couple tenths. So it's going to be one of those things where Nate Sides is really going to have to line up this battle in order to have it go in his favor. Sergey Perot keeping about a half a second distance between these two drivers. He is leading a trio of cars that are all behind him. Now kind of a four-way fight, more or less. Nico Vizzolo is going to join these drivers in this fight. 8 minutes all elapsed of this 30-minute race. We are working through the minutes as quickly as they come. No pit cycles to speak of in this race. That's how it is by design. Nate Sides closing down that gap to a 10th after Ravazza had a great exit. Tim Schaefer going to set the fastest lap in GT3 AM, unsurprisingly, as he is up the road. Think about a total of 5 seconds between himself and Tom Leeson, who's in second. Ooh, bad exit there for Sergey Perot. Nate Sides going to have to take a long way around, however. They're going to keep going too wide. Nate Sides not giving any room for error. And that's going to be a turn out of Sergey Perot for that instance. Sergey Perot going to have to try to find his own way through, but he's going to end up having a bit of trading paint with Andre Saba over that one. And Andre Saba ended up going wide amongst all that. Now it's going to be a three-way fight as all three of those drivers are having a bit of an issue. Nico Vizzolo going to be less than a tenth behind Sergey Perot. Looks for that dive down the inside. These three now in the fight. Once again, Nick Tyrrell going to find himself once again in this trade-off. Oh. That a bit of an unfortunate moment there. As now the four drivers still remain within a second and a half of each other. but which drivers are in which positions has changed a little bit. As the rest of the order has shifted up ever so slightly, and Nico Vizzolo has taken Nate Side's space in P4. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Meanwhile, Tom Lees and Landon Orr. All right. These two in a battle for the bottom 2 spots on the podium. Oh,
Hello?
hello. Was I
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that.
Is okay. I'm sorry, Landon. I can move out.
What's going on?
Oh,
There we go.
all right.
How are we doing?
Doing well. I just figured you guys were within, well, at one point you were within a few tenths of each other, and I wanted to ask how it was going.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I can hear a word you said. Not sure.
That's
There
it.
we go. I was going to say, things are going decently well
Good.
until someone pulled me in Discord and I got confused and ran off.
I'm sorry.
But overall, not bad.
Good.
No, not bad.
Good.
I see the gift cards I bought for Fen to pull everybody who's tailing me into the interview room is working.
Oh, of course.
That implies that there has
works.
been a monetary transaction. I would like to set the record straight. There has been 0 monetary transaction. I do this out of the love of the game and nothing more.
Well, you said
Jerseys.
I shouldn't pay you until afterwards, so that way you would have plausible deniability on air.
Exactly. That is exactly the point. You're correct. I still have plausible deniability on air.
Got it. Ugh.
So,
Yeah.
All right.
Somebody was yelling at me to catch up to Tim. I just want to point out Tim's a full second faster than me, so
yeah.
Tim is flying, man. He's
if
he's
you want me to
gotten very
catch up
fast.
to Tim, somebody's got to like brake check him or something.
Get the feeling we might see him improve to GT3 or into the pro category next season. I get the feeling.
Yeah, I think that's already been decided. So we do need to figure out how we officially do that. Bob used to handle all that, so I don't know how it actually works.
It definitely shouldn't be like a majority vote from the AMs because then whoever's at the top is getting promoted.
Just get kicked
I
out.
think
every time.
that's just how, like, if you win the AM category, you have to go to pro.
I think that's originally what we talked about, and then we haven't done that, so we should actually enforce that.
Oh god, that puts me into the pros then, and I don't know how to
But
go
the-
on.
Well, if we start after this season, you won't have to until you win again.
There we go. I like that. Grandfather me in, please.
That's actually the inverse. You don't want to be grandfathered in because then you'd be pro before we enacted this.
I mean, grandfathered into staying in the AMs.
Oh, okay. Grandfathered out
Yeah.
to stay in the AMs. Okay. Yeah. Saying the same thing with different words. Good stuff. Well, about coming up to the halfway point. I see Landon Orr has once again regained the gap. Well,
Made up for the knocking me off the track.
Okay. Then just drop us back down into party chat and then pull us back up to throw them back up to like 1.2 seconds. Okay.
Please do that.
I will.
Love it.
I will definitely drop you both back into party chat. I will wish you all the best of luck.
Actually, can you drop me in a focus? Wesley's very loud.
Oh yeah, I can certainly do it. So I will get you back to where you were meant to be. Good luck on the back half of the race.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Tom Leeson and Landon Orr, 2 drivers looking to battle it out for the other spots on the AM podium. Meanwhile, this battle hasn't gone anywhere. Between Sergei Perok, Nico Vizzolo, and Andre Saba, these 3 still looking for the opportunity. Nico Vizzolo all over the back end of Sergei Perok. Dan Griffin, meanwhile, setting the fastest lap of the race, his most recent time by, cutting down that gap to his teammate up at the head of the field. But just a little bit. Let's see if I can get a good onboard. It's not really a good onboard I wanted. Oh, we're going to go too wide into Variante Alta. There's the look for the position. He's going to get a spin out as a result. He's going to push him back the right direction. Was there contact there? Hold on. All right. I'm going to look back on this because I'm curious now. Okay. We're here. Let's get on board with these 2. Net code probably says there's more contact than there really was. I guess he does push him back the right direction, so it's all good. Nick Tyrrell is going to get around Andre Saba amongst all that, as Andre Saba had to check up. For those positions there. Tyler Roberts, Nate Sides, Tom Leeson, as well as Landon Orr also having the pass amongst that chaos. Let's take a look at that. As Landon Orr passed both those drivers with a huge lunge down the inside amongst the chaos up ahead. As Kevin Hayes rejoins the fight more for the points at the end of the race. Now, Tom Leeson having to work with the laps down Kevin Hayes. Sergey Perok. The gap has once again been closed down by Nico Vazzolo. Big moment there. Not an off track. But that gap is not going anywhere. Nico Vazzolo has the pace, seems to have the energy. Is looking to see what else there is. Keeping an eye on this battle. Kind of looking at some of the data as well. Zachary Holden, Wesley Woods. These two drivers in battle. I feel like we should give them the same treatment. Zachary Holden, Wesley Woods.
What's up?
Welcome to, I guess, the dueling room. As I'm now
I'll
quoting
see.
this. How is...
Oh, you know, well, I'd love to find a way past him, but
It's yeah. He's supposed to be rolling chicanes. I'm taking this spot.
Well, you got to stick with it.
Oh yeah. We're sticking to it.
It's pretty.
Now I just got to get to the other rolling chicane if he falls back some. Oh, there we go.
Ooh, ooh. Oh, I thought you were going to go for the over-under.
that's what I should have done. By the time I realized that's what I should have done, I was like halfway through the turn. What are we doing? No.
Oh, no.
Halfway in my bumper. That's what you were.
Oh,
I don't think
boy.
that's what they mean by when park it on the corner.
Oh, no. Landon Orr.
Oh boy. Yes. I think my boy just fell back.
Little bit.
Yep. Now I gotta go get to the other chicane, if that's possible.
I
All
didn't
right.
fall back that far.
No, he'll gain it back. I've done figure out, like, as far as cornering, I'm doing all right.
Mhm.
It's the straights that are giving me trouble. They're Finn,
That's fair.
and he catches me right on them.
I'm going to go look what happened to Landon Orr here.
All right.
So I'm
Go
going
ahead.
to get you
Tell
all-
us what happened. Give us that color
I'll tell you.
commentary.
Landon Orr just tries to keep the car going the right direction and does not. And Ratza, too, on the exit to start-finish stretch, just loses the car on the curbing and does too much to try to correct it, only makes it worse, ends up sliding into the wall, and then rejoining at the tail end of that group of cars that he was kind of at the front of. And meanwhile, there's a three-way fight as Nick Tyrrell seems to almost be pushing Nico Vazzolo up to the battle with Sergei Peroka. They're going to almost go 3 wide into Ravazza 1. Nico Vazzola finally going to get the position there. Nick Tyrrell going to push out Sergei Peroka wide. And Andre Saba's going to make it 3 wide across the line with 10 minutes to go. So Nico Vazzola really capitalizing on it. This 3-way battle has turned into a 2-way, 2 wide. And Sergei Peroka trying to hold on. Nick Tyrrell getting muscled out. He's going to lose out the position. Meanwhile, Tim Schaefer has arrived on scene. So this is the battle for what is essentially the top 4 at this point, as Nico Vazzola is half a second away from these drivers. Now it's a 5-way fight for the overall podium position. A bad exit for Sergei Peroka puts him right in the sights of Andre Saba. A black flag as well for Kevin Hayes for the incident limit. I guess given the way that race has gone, I'm not surprised. Andre Saba forcing this battle too wide as Sergei Peroka has to leave the space. So, and he's going to almost track out wide into Andre Saba, but thankfully gets it stopped. And now Nick Tyrrell and Tim Schaefer looking to get around as well. He's debating on whether to make it 3 wide or not. Nick Tyrrell will get a spot out as a result of it. Almost has a spin there for Sergei Peroka, as he has just been in the wrong side of 2-way battles pretty much the entire lap, which has cost him to go down the order. Tim Schaefer now leaning on the door, looking to be the next to join those that have gotten around. And starting the last lap in a 3-way wide fight, he finds himself at the tail end of those 5 cars. Man, it's a good battle. Meanwhile, y'all are back into a fight.
Just about.
Heck yeah.
No! There we go. Dang it.
I don't think that's how you take a chicane. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I barreled straight through that chicane. That was not fun.
That's okay. That's
I do
you
have-
making up for the fact that I just like drove off the track back there that one lap.
Yeah, that's what it is. We'll call it that. We'll call it the sportsmanship. Turn. Whew.
All right.
You
I'll leave
excited
you
for the
two.
next race, Ben?
I'm excited for both these races. We still have
Yes.
5 more minutes of this one to get through, and anything can happen at this point.
That's right.
I'll leave y'all to it and get y'all back into the party
Alrighty.
chat. Good luck with the tail end of that.
Sweet.
Hope to, well, see y'all soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Those two. Oh, Landon Orr now slapped with the black flag as well as he has crashed. What happened here? This is going to be into the final chicane of the lap before Ravazza, also known as Variante Alte or Gassini. And just labeled as crash. He doesn't really actually crash. He just gets off enough. But what happens up here? Because he has another incident. I'm trying to figure out where it is. Goes for the rotation, maybe too much. Nope, no issues there. Is it over here? Nope, it's not there. What happened here? I mean, here it is. This might be it. This is into the braking zone for Aqua Minerale. Goes, takes the sausage curbs and then just has the slow slide. Oh, so painful. Just because it's frustrating to experience. Let these two back to their battle. And a 3-way fight, I would say, between Tim Schaefer, Nicholas Tyrrell, as well as Andre Saba. So hit and run on board with a Porsche 911 GT3 in that fashion for a little while. good airtime there as that Porsche goes flying over the chicane. Battle has not gone anywhere for these three drivers for the first steps off the podium. As these battles continue. Oh man, that three-way fight has exploded once again as Andre Saba has a slow run through there, which holds up Nick Tyrrell, which causes that fight to swing in the favor of Tim Schaefer. As they get into the last 3 minutes, it's probably going to be the last couple laps here. Almost contact, a little bit of door-to-door. Tim Schaefer going to make out with that position for the time being. Black flag as well for Zachary Holden for the incident limit. As Nick Tyrrell's letting Tim Schaefer know that he's not super thrilled with how that one panned out. I believe we are not quite on the white flag. Landon Orr has gone off track. Yeah, off track in Aqua Minerale once again. Another black flag, Zachary Holden right there with him. The leaders of the class, Nicholas Maynard, going to keep up the momentum he has, 4 seconds ahead of his teammate Dan Griffin, who are both 20 seconds ahead from Nico Vizzolo, who finds himself in third, 2 seconds ahead of Tim Schaefer, who's trying to pull away from Nick Tyrrell to Andre Saba, who are both half a second from each other as well. Battle as well between Nate Sides and Patrick Cantrell, these two drivers looking to have a battle in the closing laps here. We've got 2 to go. As it stands, with one more amongst all those. Andre Saba joining those, labeled as crashed. Let's see what happened to him. Coming into the braking zone for the final chicane of the lap. Hits the curbing. Oh, just catches it so wrong. Not intentionally, just got air at the wrong moment. Had the wheels not in the right direction to make that a stable landing. And the grip just hooked him and caused him to go spinning. So that's going to be an unfortunate end to that race there. And now he has a black flag as well to end out this final lap. Which will give us a good opportunity to see whether or not the white flag is in the air. I would have to imagine it is. Yep, there is that white flag. Tim Schaefer, Nick Tyrrell battling it out with each other. Big use of the curbing. That might be a slowdown penalty for that driver. Nick Tyrrell going to lunge up the inside of Tim Schaefer, looking to make the drive stick. Both have pretty equidistant. It's going to be a little bit of door and trading paint there as they go up through and into Pirtelli. Back down at the end of it. Tim Schaefer right behind Nick Tyrrell. Both drivers not going to lift on this one. Nate Sides joining those with a black flag. I mean, his fight with Patrick Cantrell has come to an end. Tim Schaefer trying to fake the look at the end of the lap there, trying to cause a little bit of chaos. Meanwhile, Nicholas Maynard going to come home P1. Dan Griffin going to come home a proper P2, though I think he was out of gas coasting to the line. Nico Vizzolo looking like he'll probably come home P3, barring any craziness. Along with the likes of Tim Schaefer. Tim Schaefer finding a couple of off tracks at the end there. And some flashing lights, some words on the radio amongst all that. But Tim Schaefer will be P1 in the GT3 AM category, finishing 5th overall. Sergey Peruk going to come home in 6th out of those drivers. With Patrick Cantrell, coming home in 6th. Nate Sides right behind him in 7th. Tyler Robertson in 8th. Andre Saba in 9th at the end of everything. Though he is, I think, out of gas coming out of the final corner. Somebody should push him. Give him a push. Him and I got to get past him for overall positions. It's Tyler Roberts celebrating a good finish there. Wesley Woods doing the honorable thing, giving him a little bit of a push. To round out the race. 30 minutes come and gone at Imola. A pretty fantastic way to spend our opening race of the evening. 2 sprint rounds again for this week, 7th week of the championship. We got one more week after that. It's going to be at Le Mans in just 7 days' time. But first, we got to go to Monza, jump across part of Italy over to the Temple of Speed, one of a few that exists around the world, one of the oldest circuits that is still standing today, still has some of its original, I would say, layout amongst those when it became a full-time permanent facility. Good look there of the Osborne setup shop. As both those drivers come across the checkered flag. To finish the race, 1 lap down apiece. And we will get some unofficial results. Pull in the drivers in the interview room as well. Nicholas Maynard, Dan Griffin, congrats on the 1-2.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
How was it? How was Imola for y'all?
Enjoyable. I love this track. Got a lot of good memories here, but man, at the end it got a little stressful because I had 8 incident points and there was still like 10, 12 minutes to go, and I was like, oh goodness.
Fair.
And this is not the track for that, so
no, that
made
is
it interesting.
Wow. Yeah, that definitely would have made it, I think, a little bit more stressful to have that.
The entire time through the first 2 turns, I was thinking about you commenting about our Daytona incident. So, but this time I gave plenty of space, and I don't think we even got all that close to each other this time. So
I don't think so. Let me pop up.
Terrific. Oh, actually, it's on the replay right now.
Yeah, I was saying. Let me pop up in the replay.
Oh, look at that! You could park a golf cart between us,
definitely
man.
could.
I mean, like, all right, good.
You had plenty of space.
We've learned.
Yeah,
at least
until we get into officials, but you know.
Yeah, no, officials are another story.
So going from one Italian circuit to another, as we get ready to go to Monza here in a few minutes' time. 5 of them, to be more specific. Are these 2 tracks similar or different?
No.
Okay. How so?
Agreed.
Yeah, the first thing is like the pavement of Imola feels like it has more grip. So like regardless of what you do with the setup, like it just always has more grip. I feel like Monza's like even in good conditions, kind of like the car kind of feels like it's sliding on top of the surface a bit. So it's a lot more even in short races like Monza, you have to kind of worry about like tire degradation. Where Imola, I don't really think you have to as much. So yeah, and then obviously the speed difference and everything, but I mean they're both like they both have pretty long straights and pretty small chicanes, you know. So it's like, but yeah, they're the grip level of both tracks is pretty different.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's why they're different tracks, despite having similar styled chicanes in some parts. The asphalt makes
Yeah.
them a different feeling drive.
I think it's the asphalt. I don't know, but or it could be. I mean, a lot of the Imola corners are pretty contoured too. There's a lot of like on camber, you know, which kind of helps. And Monza's just flat, but
I want to let you know this slide is amazing, right here. Lap
Look at the
1,
lighting.
Tosa,
Perfect.
just so well.
It was a tire prep strategy, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened to Kevin?
Oh, you'll see. You'll see.
Oh yeah, what did it?
We'll go here. We'll run it in full speed. He definitely did not warm up his tires enough, and then tried to take.
He's got to do more power slides, you know.
Well, give him a second. He'll do, I think, a pretty good one here in just about 30 seconds. Hits the curbing just right, and then just.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's a left turn.
And bonk.
Man, that car hates that too.
I was excited to see him he qualified real well.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I thought did you see the times for practice? I thought those Corvettes were going to be an issue.
I mean, had they not been marred with slowdown penalties, I think they might have.
Fair enough.
Because I think Nate Sides was definitely on a tear up until he made contact with Sergei Perok. After he had to serve the slowdown penalty, I put him behind both you, Dan, and Sergei to begin with. Here, let's go look back at that, because that was kind of a fun one. I say loosely.
So there's some good racing.
There was plenty of good racing. Like there's a battle for LMP GT3M. Oh man,
Where were those?
I'm rusty today. Forgive me.
No, you're good.
Where was that fight? Here it is, I think. Yeah, this is the one. This corner has claimed a few.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's where I think that race got done in for the moment.
Oh, boo.
There was that. There was a pretty good fight for a while between Sergey, Nico, Nick Tyrrell, and Andre Saba. This was basically the back half of the race.
Oh man,
with these four all fucking just duking it out.
I just looked at the standings, how close they were.
Yeah, they were trading paint. Like,
oh man,
yeah, Nico.
It's so easy to like chuck your car into like coming off the second hop of Variante Alpha, like just slam into the car next to you.
Yeah.
Like that's
draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nick Tyrrell was looking to make this pass happen.
Push him forward, yeah.
Yep. And so you see how much Nico ended up being over speeding into this corner, has to take it too wide.
Yeah.
I was so worried they were going to come into contact. But thankfully I got it sorted out.
Ready to go bowling back there.
Yeah.
Nico kind of came out of nowhere. He's been quick.
Yeah. This is his.
Oh man, 3 wide.
Yeah, this is a lot. They went 3 wide. They thankfully get it buttoned down. before turn 1. More or less, like it's they trade so much paint over the course of this.
4 different manufacturers. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
That's where I thought it was gonna get sketchy again, because I was worried Nick was gonna
Yeah.
track out into
Easy to-
Sergey, and then vice
Yeah.
versa on the next turn.
Or hit that curb and jump into Nick.
Yeah.
That'll get your heart going.
Yeah, they definitely had. This is basically back half of the race, and amongst all this, Tim Shaver shows up, and then they fight for a while. Just before this, Landon Orr, like there's a battle in the back half with Landon Orr, Tom Leeson duking it out for a while, along Nate Sides when he recovered that drive, then a lap down Kevin Hayes in that battle pack.
That's awesome. Good stuff up and down the field. It'll be fun to go back and watch.
Absolutely, it'd be cool to see. And I think we're getting ready to go to Monza, so
Yeah, I'm gonna step away for a
Yeah.
minute and get ready for that one.
I'll put you all back in the interview room to head off and get ready to go race that one.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
see what happens.
Alrighty, good luck, y'all.
Thank you.
All right. And on that note, I'm going to take a quick BRB to make sure I have water, get us spooled into the session, all that jazz. It's been cool. It's so much fun. I love. Been a while, and I've missed this league immensely. So we'll see how it looks here. Just a couple minutes time when we go to Monza, or into Autodromo Nazionale Monza. You know, a much longer name. All right, baby. All right, did my paddock walk. Plenty to talk about here in between the races. The incident, a few of the incidents that we saw, we got to get a bit of a talk through with the drivers. Important thing I think to note from my understanding of it is the moment with Sergey and Nate's sides not intentional, or extremely intentional, depending on who you believe. But no. And also, in addition to Hayden not pushing Andre to the finish, even though he definitely could have, he has elected to tell me that I have a weird name in a list of weird names. Anyway, we're at Monza, talking about practice. No. We're at the Temple of Speed, one of a few that exist around the world as one of the oldest racetracks that is still functioning to this day. 11 corners in this configuration were on the Grand Prix layout, the one that has been a staple on the Formula One calendar for decades. Famous fast straights, long wide curves, short chicanes to round out the 5.75 kilometer lap. It is going to be a busy track. We have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think we have 19 cars this time by. So a couple more that we have since last race. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Gonna get into qualifying here in just a moment. 8 minutes, solo quality. Watch these cars get on into, good English. Get their outlaps completed. Oh, I definitely want to use this camera later. Keep an eye on that, me. Though the next one, not as much. It's just trees. With these 11 turns, it's always such a fun one because it creates such exciting and busy moments for the track, for the drivers to have a fantastic race. Given that it's 11 turns, it's thankfully one of the easier ones. You add in the 4 corners of the oval as well, makes it 14 turns. You remove some chicanes, it gets it back down to 10, I think it is, if you remove all the chicanes from the Monza combined layout. So some good options here. I'm sad we don't have more of them in the repertoire of AI for the purposes of adding in fun stuff like that. Gosh, I wish I had no trees turned on, but I don't have that. So while I haven't quite gotten out yet, I'm in the process of doing so, believe our grid is going to be pretty busy. Well, I'll be about as busy as it was last time. And then some. Pouring down rain outside in the real world makes for some good ambiance for my recording booth. Felt important to you all. Track conditions, however, quite calm, quite balmy, quite nice. 2-mile-an-hour winds as Tom Leeson will ride along board this Mercedes-AMG GT3 as he begins his first flying lap. First of 2? 3? I can't remember. 2. So, with 2 flying laps, 2 good attempts to get a lap time in, these drivers are going to have to kind of pile into these corners here, set as fast lap time as possible. In practice, we saw some good lap times. I'm trying to get a feel for what they were like. If I add in that 147s, it's about right. And so it'll be interesting to see how fast these drivers get in the race itself. Around the final corner there. Curva Parabolica, not Parabolica. We're not in some barotrauma. Sets the fastest time so far in GT3 AM with 150.146, 2 seconds behind Nico Vizzolo, who is at a 148.74. Thunderclouds in real life, as I hear that in the background there. Kevin Hayes getting a lap time in as well. Most of these drivers getting some solid options on the board. Let's see as well if I can do this. Yeah, there we go. Get a good feel for how these lap times look. Tim Schaefer, now the fastest driver right now on trying 148.652, puts the GT3 AM category on our billboard, our timing tower, above our GT3 Pro drivers. Curious to see as well where the rest of this field pans out. Casey Jones joining the AM category from 100 Force. The pro category, I forgot he was a pro driver. For some reason, I thought he was an AM driver. And one of their black liveried Mustangs. Halfway through qualifying, plenty of opportunities here for these drivers to still get some good lap times in. Hayden Mamenga going to join those, I think, with a bit of a moment. Joe Evers increasing his time to beat out Tyler Roberts, as well as the likes of Nico Bozzolo getting the fastest time back to improve. Dan Griffin going to punch his way to the top of the timing tower, 2/10 faster than Nico Bozzolo. Sorry, a 1/10.5 faster, not 2/10. Kevin Hayes going to jump up in between both Nico Bozzolo and Sergei Perok. Nate Sides the tail end of that one. Tim Schaefer going faster than Dan Griffin. So this is going to be, I think, a very interesting couple of laps. Dan Griffin, of course, looking to set a lap time faster the second time out as he works his way around the final couple corners for Casey Jones. Probably see one as well for Nicholas Maynard, who is, I think, just behind him in terms of the lap times. Or doesn't get a lap time in. Casey Jones, however, gets a 148.915. That's going to be an off track for Nicholas Maynard for his first attempt. I'll have to see if he improves at all in the second. And he's definitely looking to increase the heat in those tires. Still sliding a little bit. Bunch of more drivers still looking to put in times. We have 5 GT3 AM drivers. We have a total of, I believe, 12 GT3 Pro drivers, which makes for a total of 18 GT3 in total. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where my math is not mathing here. What am I missing? I'm missing somebody. If I have 5 GT3 AMs and 12 GT3 Pros, I have 6 GT3 AMs. That's where my math is off. For a total of 18 GT3s. There we go. I figured it out. Nicholas Maynard getting a 149.180 as he works his way around. Nicholas Maynard looking to get a time in. Dan Griffin going to reset the fastest time to get ahead of Tim Schaefer with a 147.721. So plenty of opportunity for these drivers to get a second lap in. See if Nicholas Maynard can get onto the board. See if the same is true for Landon Orr, our only GT3 AM driver. Not to set a time yet. A fun piece of this. I'm curious as well as how the drop rounds will affect these going into the final couple of minutes. Casey Jones getting a 148.399, jumping up into second place there. So he might have a all 100 force grid should Nicholas Maynard get a lap time in. But it may not be. Have to see. B&B Racing, Landon Orr, one of the only drivers on track right now yet to get at least a lap time in. Nick Tyrrell trying to improve his time as well. One of 3 drivers still looking to punch a lap time or get one set. Landon Orr going to be successful with 150.078. Going to jump himself into third. About 2/10 behind Tom Leeson. Nicholas Maynard coming down Parabolica. Trying to see if he can get himself into a solid position for the race here. Less than a minute left. He only has to come across the line here in 2 more tenths time. Jumps up into 4th with that one. But Nicholas Maynard, jumped up into 1st with that one. As Nick Tyrrell jumps into 4th, or 5th now. Gets a 147.631, beats out his teammates by a 10th. It looks to be a 100 force 1, 2, 3 at the moment. We'll have to see how long that remains the case. Qualifying going to come to a rapid end here in just a few seconds time. Landon, yeah, there we go. Landon Orr looking to get a lap time in before the end of qualifying. Nick Tyrrell, but he will not be successful. So that will give us, ideally, a grid here in just a moment. I go back to race and do that. All right. Grid for the second race of our sprint evening. Nicholas Maynard going to lead off with a 147.631, less than a tenth ahead of his teammate Dan Griffin in second. Third is going to be Tim Schaefer in denying the 104th podium in terms of raw GT3 overall pace, but Casey Jones not far behind of Tim Schaefer either in fourth for that GT3 Pro podium. Nico Vizzolo going to be in fifth there alongside Nick Tyrrell in sixth for the for the third row of the grid. Jeez, English. I can do it. Seventh is going to be Kevin Hayes, and then in eighth is going to be Sergei Perok. Those two drivers also within a few hundredths of each other. Nate Sides as well as Patrick Cantrell rounding out the top 10 with Andre Saba and Joe Evers in that sixth row of the grid. In the seventh row, or in going to be what is 13th, Tyler Roberts going to be alongside Tom Leeson. And it's Landon Orr alongside Zachary Holden, the last podium spot alongside P4 and GT3 AM, with Hayden Mamenga and Wesley Woods rounding out that 18-car GT3 grid. They're all getting set to go racing here. The BMW M2 safety car looking to be successful. We're going to see these cars head on out. All 18 have found their way to the grid. You see all 18 of them. You can tell if you count the spoilers that there are 18 cars, or you can take my word for it. That's the choice is yours. Dan Griffin is going to be labeled as crashed already. As everybody gets underway there, it's just my system, I think. Having a fun time with it. It's going to be a busy one. Turn number one, always super sketchy in Monza because of how long the run is to turn number one from the start-finish line, from when we're going to go green, and that green flag is waved. We have such a quick bunch of cars, all within the same pace, and it'd be interesting to see how they all fare. Plenty of opportunity here for all of these drivers to have, I think, a pretty successful race. You can always tell the difference between Dan Griffin and Nicholas Maynard based on the hood color of their 100 Force machines. They explained that to me a while ago. Nicholas Maynard, I believe, having the dark colored hood, or the black colored hood, and the white colored hood being Dan Griffin. See those two drive, those 300 Force Mustangs all up in the top two rows. As we get set to go racing, the BMW M2 pace car is going to peel in, and we're going to wait for that green flag to wave. Should be pretty early this time by, as it is going to be pretty soon. Maybe. And the green flag is out. We see those red lights light up for us, and that means that it is time to get underway for the second race of the sprint week. It's going to fan out 3-4 wide. At least it looks like it from this angle. They pare it down. Still 2x2 as they go into the braking zone for turn number one. Tim Schaefer playing it really safe. Nico Vizzolo going to be trying to get his way through and up the order. Going to be a bit of contact that's going to bottle up the rest of that field. But everybody sorts themselves out pretty much to get through turn 1, 2, and 3 successfully. Nicholas Maynard going to be leading off the field. Dan Griffin shortly behind. 5G Tower going to be interrupting our path here as the rest of the field works its way through. Nico Vizzolo as well as Nick Tyrrell looking to go too wide into the second variante. The second chicane. Should get our track map up more seriously. They all have fancy names. Variante della Roggia. Casey Jones ends up way wide as a result. He's going to fall down the order just a little bit amongst all of that. So we'll see him sit in fifth. A whole train of cars behind that GT3 BMW of Nick Tyrrell, who's in fourth. In third overall, but in first in the category, Tim Schaefer currently holding on to that bottom step of the overall podium. Kevin Hayes making the look further back. This whole line of cars, nose to stern, as they work their way through Ascari for the first time. 3 corners, such a wide bend in the middle of it. Was such a fun one. Set of corners to get right. Such a heartbreaking one if you do not get them right. Wesley Woods, Hayden Mamenga battling it out the tail end of the GT3 AM field for those positions. Kevin Hayes making the look on the inside. Nico Vizzolo going to make the look on the outside. Sergei Perok trying to make it work alongside Nico Vizzolo. That's going to become an interesting bit of a change. Nicola now alongside the likes of Kevin Hayes and Nate Sides, Sergey Perok back to 2 wide. The first lap in the books. Everybody, you can see on the screen there, all 18 cars working their way down the start-finish stretch with only one not taking, I think, too far, and that's going to be Tyler Roberts, who I don't think just didn't take to the grid. I don't know what happened there, but I don't see him on the roster. Zachary Holden, a few other drivers labeled as crash, Landon Orr, Tom Leeson, all having a moment there. Joe Evers going to get a bunch of positions as a result. These drivers all swapping spots here and there. Nico Vizzolo going to keep on the prowl. As Nick Tyrrell scores an off track there with that run up to the likes of Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. Nico Vizzolo also with a bit of a moment there. These two 100 force drivers, by the way, 2 tenths between each other. So Nicholas Maynard not getting away as easily as he would have liked and how he did in Imola. Dan Griffin going to keep him honest throughout this opening couple of stints. We talked about it in between the races. Still important to talk about. Still always interesting to see these two in close proximity to each other. We've seen it go sour once before. I don't think we'll see it go sour again, but you never know. Patrick Cantrell going to give up a spot to Andre Saba amongst all this. Nate Sides a little bit slower than I think he would like in these opening stages, but keeps ahead of both Andre Saba and Patrick Cantrell, excuse me. As these battles start pairing off for various drivers, Dan Griffin a 10th behind these two, just trying to make the look, forcing Nicholas Maynard to play defensive. These two going to go 2 wide into the first Variante. That opening chicane of Redifilo. There you go, excuse me. But Dan Griffin going to stay behind for the time being with Tim Shaver 2 seconds behind. Nick Tyrrell just a second behind those drivers. Battle for what is going to be for 5th overall, 4th through 6th in the category, with Casey Jones just ahead of Nico Vizzolo and Kevin Hayes at the tail end of that one. A 3-way fight. That will, I think, be a pretty fun one to keep an eye on. A little bit of a ride along with Kevin Hayes. Able to keep that car going the right direction for more than a lap this time. Happens every now and then. Still one of the best sounding GT3s, I think, in iRacing at the moment. You see Nico Vizzolo as well as the likes of Casey Jones from this perspective. As they work their way through this fight, adding a couple more cars as Nick Tyrrell and Tim Schafer kind of come back into the mix as they work their way through a little bit more. Finding the strengths and the weaknesses of each car is such an interesting part, especially in Monza, where there's not a whole ton of turns to alter that at all. Tim Schafer setting the personal best of his race, 148.727. About 7 tenths slower than Nicholas Maynard, who set the fastest lap of the session, 148.05, half 500ths faster than his teammate. Just going to increase that gap ever so slightly for those top 3. So you look further back in the field. A couple more drivers having a quick off here and there. Joe Evers going to find himself around in the first Variante. Going to spin it around. Trying to get it back going the right direction. Adds a little bit too much throttle. And back it up and get it going once again. Andre Saba battling with Patrick Cantrell. Kevin Hayes finds himself off at the end of the second Variante. Let's see what happened exactly here. Tries to stay out of the way of all these drivers. I'm going to try to figure out what happened. Nicholas Maynard. A bunch of drivers have off tracks here. They'll keep it going the right direction, though. Kevin Hayes, the only one not to. All right, let's see what happened. Breaks into that. Oh, so much rotation. Too much. and just slides off the track. Keeps it out of the wall, though, so he's going to be able to keep that car going in the right direction, which should be everything that he needs as these battles go too wide. Dan Griffin, Nicholas Maynard looking to make the pass done into Parabolica. Of course, Nicholas Maynard going to force Dan to go the long way around, but there's an over-under opportunity there as well. Depending on how that shakes out, Nick Tyrrell and Tim Schaefer are going to swap positions amongst all that as well, as Nico Vizzolo and Casey Jones all going to swap positions, but those two still going too wide pretty much down the start-finish stretch. Interesting to see who wins out at the end of that. The classic American muscle conversation, or American supercar conversation in this regard, as the Mustang Dark Horse goes up against the Chevrolet Corvette. Both meant to be a supercar of sorts in their respective ways. Only one of them really a muscle car, but we always call those two brands as muscle brands for one reason or another. Their large history in the muscle scene throughout the back half of the 1900s. And, of course, 2000s, 2010s. Nico Vizzolo gonna make that look. Gonna tuck back in, however. Sergey Broke, Nate Sides also in a battle. These two cars pairing off into various duels, pretty much up and down the order. Nate, Nicholas, I saw the light up of the off track as both Nicholas Maynard and Dan Griffin got the same off track. And I was very concerned it had gotten worse. But Kevin Hayes able to get around Zachary Holden for position there. As well, Zachary Holden is stopped in a very similar manner to how we saw Kevin Hayes a little while ago. So, almost a third of the way through this race. Basically, 5 duels floating around here in one form or another. Casey Jones battling with Nico Vizzolo. Huge slide there. Keeps that car going in the right direction. The two of them going to battle it out as the draft helps all of them. Nate Sides, Sergey Perot just behind them. Andre Saba, Patrick Cantrell also in a duel for position. Nick Tyrrell finally getting able to kind of cut free of Tim Schaefer, our biggest battle that has come to a close at the moment. But the battle up at the front end of the field still also looming large as the 200 force drivers continue to face off for the overall lead. Back of the field, not to be discounted, Joe Evers and Zachary Holden able to kind of keep those cars back together into a fight as these two swap spots into this first variante, but they keep it going the right direction. Nico Vizzolo going to get the better exit there and keep that car going the right direction. Casey Jones going to tuck in behind as all of these cars go flying past our cameras. Some off tracks for a few drivers as well, as they all kind of follow each other into the same issues. Looking back up at the front of the field, one of several fights still underway, nose to tail, as they continue to work and figure out where they want to be. They are building a bit of a gap from the rest of the field, however. Nick Tyrrell, right there, you see on the screen, 3 seconds behind, another second and a half between himself and Tim Schaefer. The only two battles that I think their duel has come to an end, as the rest are still paired off and fighting. Feels, I know it's not intentional, but it almost feels like we have a series of toge runs just happening right now, for what it's worth. With Dan Griffin setting the fastest time this time by. Great exit at Parabolica is going to put him alongside in the first curve. Nick Maynard is going to squeeze for it. It's going to push them both wide, but Nick Maynard got to keep the nose in enough to have the battle in the return fight. And it's going to stay so far too wide as they go down the start-finish stretch. They'll pare it back down for the moment. The rest of the field largely going to be in the same positions they were earlier, but a black flag for Kevin Hayes as he runs into Wesley Woods into that first chicane. What happened here? All right, this is going to be into the first variante. Is there a missed braking point out of one or both of these drivers. No. Yes. Ah. It's going to be a bit of a heartbreak. Bad day goes to worse for Kevin Hayes, as he now has basically a black flag penalty for it. Nico Vizzolo, Casey Jones going to be back in that battle too. Sergey Perot and Nate Sides still in lockstep as well. Kevin Hayes, crash once again, trying to get that car back around. See as well, Patrick Cantrell currently in the top 10, 9th in class. Yeah. Looking at what's going on. Battle there, still going on. Battle further back, still also happening. But Nico Vizzolo getting the best lap that he's had so far. It's Patrick Cantrell, labeled as crashed, as he slides out on the inside of the second chicane. Take a look at what happened here. Going to the braking zone. And just hooks, I think, somewhere on that. We'll see this hook. There it is. It's too much sliding. And he's got to make friends with that tire barrier on the front end. Picks that car up. Thankfully, the tire barrier seems to be doing a lot of its job and keeping it going. One of the other battles have come to an end. Sergey Perot, as well as Nate Sides, kind of not fully resolved there, especially as he goes off wide. Casey Jones going to be a second behind Nico Vizzolo to round out that battle. The duels coming to an end for a moment. What has taken 15 minutes to sort out who's better between two drivers is slowly coming to an end, and we'll see who gets back into those fights here in a moment, especially as Nicholas Maynard resets the fastest lap, but only by 0.05 to Dan Griffin, who also improves his lap to that image as well. The field not too far apart. I say this like they've been in duels, but largely they have been only about a second or a second and a half to 2 seconds away from each other. You see that in the intervals up until this point. As Nate Sides finally over half a second between these drivers. It's a fantastic run for most of this field. So consistent, largely without too much drama. A little bit here, a little bit there. Especially when you go off track like that, and Dan Griffin continues to stay close. This is the closest battle on track at this point for our overall lead. And Dan just keeps heaping on the pressure as Nicholas Maynard is applying, or as Nicholas Maynard is trying not to crack under it. That's the English I'm trying to say there. But the rest of this field is going to play the long game now. 15 minutes left to go. The battle for the lead still undecided. A couple battles also up and down the grid. We'll see how they come back together at the moment. I want to kind of ride along board. We haven't done one off the gearbox yet today that I can think of, so let's see if we got a good one here. This will be a solid one. You can see Nicholas Maynard and Dan Griffin, two drivers that have spent countless hours in practice, so they are well versed in the driving styles of one another as well as how to drive around. There's the fake out of Dan Griffin, but he doesn't commit to it. And Dan Griffin just stays tucked in, waiting for the opportunity. Has a good run here. You can see him sticking close without really applying too much pressure at this point. You see him making the look, but has to lift out of it because Dan Mikkelsmander almost came across back into him, and he doesn't want to run into his teammate. Cost them both time. Big catch by Mikkelsmander is going to make this fight a little bit more of an important one this time around, as both drivers once again find that off track and that run off. Meanwhile, the battles I said that were starting to wrap up, they have come back together, and including a couple new ones, and like the likes of Landon Orr and Tom Lees in this battle for the bottom step of the GT3M podium. Going to be resolved there as they work their way through. Tom Leeson at 149.44. His most recent time by. Landon Orr starting to get a feel for that car with a 148.63, half a second faster than the best time of Tom Leeson, almost a second faster than Tom Leeson's last lap, or most recent lap time. As they get onto the backstretch here, keeping an eye on these two. The battle for the podium here also has huge implications. I say huge loosely. Huge. No, but in terms of the standings, it will be important because there is only just over a 10-point gap between these two. And as the drop rounds get applied and get refactored, the finish positions here may impact those. But Landon Orr is going to go around. That's going to bring an end to that fight. An unfortunate break there as Patrick Cantrell finds his way around. The battle for top 5 now involves 3 drivers as Casey Jones continues to hemorrhage a little bit of time to the 2 cars behind him, Sergey Perot and Nate Sides. Now, see how this plays out. 2 tenths between these 2 drivers. Sergey Perot very able to make a look here into the second chicane. Makes the look, applies the pressure. Doesn't have the overlap to really bring it alongside, but keeps on trying to find the opportunity. Wants to really leverage it. Wants to force the issue. Looks for the opportunity, looks for it, finds it. But Casey Jones with the over-under is going to put himself back on the inside. And with a lot of space there, Nate Sides is going to lean up the inside as well, make it a 3-way fight. And both drivers are going to be all trying to figure out where they want to be. These two got a drag race as a result. Casey Jones getting a little bit of a reprieve thanks to that moment there between Sergey Perot, Nate Sides, trying to get themselves sorted out before they get into Ascari once again. And this duel between these two is far from over as they go too wide through it. The bump's going to carry Sergey out wide, but Nate Sides thankfully clear of that car before that McLaren comes over to the far side of that corner. The ability there as well. Going to see how they fare as they have given Casey Jones a second gap thanks to going too wide through Ascari. Such a hard thing to do. Patrick Cantrell with a little bit of a slide amongst that. Okay, quick look, just to see. Just out in the weeds because that car going in the right direction. Landon Orr is going to pick up a position, though, because he just has carrying so much more speed through that. Oh, and he's got to slide again. That's what did that in. And thankfully, paying very close attention to his relatives. Patrick Cantrell doesn't get anybody else involved. This battle hasn't changed. Nate Sides leaning down the inside. Sergey Perot will have the switchback inside. These two come into contact once again. And Nate Sides will have to pick up the pieces here and end up in the sights, I should say, of Andre Saba. So, another bit of heartbreak there. Nicholas Maynard, huge off track there. Dan Griffin making the look. Has to back out, though. Saw the off track marker from these two once again, trying to see where this battle has evolved. And the answer is they are still 2 tenths away from each other. Nico Vizzolo going to be catching up to Tim Schaefer for overall positions. And the gap between Casey Jones, Sergey Perot, as a result of all the chaos between the two of them as well as Nate Sides, sees that gap open up to 3 or so seconds, which has made for a pretty busy time. Taking a look as well up and down the order. The duels and the drivers have changed. The battles have not. This one's still going on. The battle for the lead still raging as well. 10 minutes, less than that, left to go as these drivers continue to fight it out for the second race of our 30 minutes, our second 30-minute race of our sprint week. Last one of the season before we get into the finale at Le Mans on Circuit des 24 Heures du Mans, for those of you that want to use the full French title as we go into it. 7 days from now, that'll be that closing race for the season, and then we'll get into season 15, I'm sure, not too long after. Taking a chance to grab a drink as I get set for these final couple minutes. Nico Vizzolo going to have a great opportunity here to end up closing down this gap to Tim Schaefer, applying the pressure. Nick Tyrrell also going to be feeling that pressure. He's gotten a little bit slower as this race has gone on. Slow down for both Tomlinson and Tim Schaefer as these drivers get into the last 5 minutes of racing. It's going to be, I think, a pretty busy one. We rode along board for a little while. So I took a few drinks amongst all that. Jumping back now into this battle for the lead of the race. 2/10 between the two of them as they get set to go. Whoa, big slide out of Nicholas Maynard, and that's going to give the position to Dan Griffin. For a brief moment, thought we were going to see those two drivers come into contact again. We saw it at Daytona during the shakedown a season ago, and I was very concerned we're going to see both of them come into contact once again. Oh, man. Keep an eye on that as it comes around the final corner. Dan Griffin going to get the position as we are about, I would say, with 3 laps left on the clock. Tim Schaefer trying to keep up with Nico Vizzolo, as well as Andre Saba and Nate Sides now in a race with each other, as well as a lapped Kevin Hayes, who has gotten that car repaired and back out on circuit. Patrick Cantrell, Wesley Holden, or sorry, not Wesley Holden. Wesley Holden? That's not even a person. I have Wesley Woods and Zachary Holden on this. No, Hayden Mamenga and Patrick Cantrell is the English I was going for there. A heck of a race as these drivers keep on keeping on. Zachary Holden, speaking of, having a brief moment. I don't know where he's trying to end up, but he's getting there. That's because he's going the wrong way down to Ascari. Now over a second between Dan Griffin and Nicholas Maynard, as Dan Griffin is now free of the position. He's going to try to see what he can do to regain and keep it here in the last couple of laps. Tim Schaefer also going to try to see if he can't find his way around Nico Vizzolo, but that off track is definitely not going to help him in these closing stages. Andre Saba as well as Nate Sides going to be the third of these duels that we see cropping back up in the late stages of this race. It has been a busy one, full of duels, and I think there's not been a dull moment for this race. It's going to be super cool to see how everyone fares. The battles here, quite impeccable in terms of the consistency. And while the drivers and positions change hands, the excitement goes nowhere. Half a second between the two leaders at the top, Andre Saba and Nate Sides, along with the lapped traffic of Kevin Hayes, looking to begin. I would say they're probably their second to last lap around the track. See, we can't see the flag waver here to give that to us correctly. Yep, not quite. You saw him there for a brief moment by where the fire truck is on the what would be the exit of the oval if we had used it. Gap there, closing down really quickly. A bit of a dummy thrown by Andre Saba. Andre Saba tucks back in as Nate Sides is not buying it. As we get ready for two more trips, or not we get ready, we are on our penultimate lap throughout the 11 corners that make up Monza. It's Grand Prix circuit. As these drivers work their way through and continue to fight for these positions. Nicholas Maynard and Dan Griffin still in a battle with each other for the lead of this race. The biggest that this gap has gotten, I think, has been about 8 tenths. That was right after Nicholas Maynard went extremely wide after almost getting this car too unsettled and losing control of it, but wrangled it up at the last minute with some fantastic and quick handwork. But we're going to see where these drivers begin their final trip around the circuit. Let's see the flag man wave the white flag for those drivers. Perchance. Probably not. Maybe it's not the white flag. It's also that possibility. Nicholas Maynard getting the fastest lap of the race this time by the 147.21, now really capitalizing, refinding the groove that he had been in for most of this race, sans that very scary exit of Ascari onto kind of what would essentially be a backstretch as they get through Lesmo 1 and 2. Or sorry, get out of the first Variante into the second Variante. And then into Lesmo 1 and 2, but that big slide there out of Nicholas Maynard is going to cost that one to slide away. 10 seconds between himself and Nick Terrell to get that car righted and going back the right direction. Big use of that curb has cost him a bunch of time, and Nick Terrell is going to be right behind him as he goes into Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, as well as the rest of the field. Tim Schaefer as well going to lean on the inside of Nico Vizzolo on this final lap, which is going to make for an interesting and busy time, but he's going to have to tuck back in as he does not have the speed to keep up the momentum in that corner. The battle once again changes hands for this time for podium positions as Nick Terrell and Nicholas Maynard get into it in the final few corners. Nico Vizzolo having to play defensive. Tim Schaefer with the overspeed to technically be ahead on our timing tower for the overall positions, but he's going to have to back out of it because Nico Vizzolo, the bravest on the brakes to keep that car going in the right direction, meaning that he will have to defend now into Parabolica this final time as he has to set himself up for success. Just hugs that inside line as they go. And Dan Griffin will come home the winner of the round at Monza. Nicholas Maynard gonna fend off Nick Terrell for that P2 position. With Nick Terrell getting a great run to stay in P3, 4 seconds ahead. Nico Vizzolo defending well to keep ahead of Tim Schaefer, who's going to come home the GT3 AM winner. With the likes of Casey Jones, Sergey Perot, Nate Sides, Andre Saba rounding out those positions. Joe Evers and Landon Orr. A bit of bump drafting there. As Tom Leeson's going to come home in P2 ahead of that driver for the GT3 AM podium. And a gentle push out of Joe Evers to get that car to go around the final few corners. As Patrick Cantrell is going to slide past all of them. Oh, maybe not. Maybe he's going to join the train. He is, in fact, joining the train of cars. We have a car, I guess a car centipede. It's a little bit kinder, I suppose. Hayden Mamenga gonna redeem himself for last race as everything goes haywire. Poor Joe Evers launched sideways as everyone comes across the line. Zachary Holden and Wesley Woods gonna be the last two drivers out on circuit trying to finish their race. What a ride it has been. A busy 30 minutes full of action and chaos and pandemonium. Let's get a chance to talk with our race winners as well as the other drivers that want to come hang out in the broadcast booth for a little bit and talk about it. The post-race decompression room, what have you. First, ideally, some results for the race. Sees Dan Griffin come home the winner there with Nicholas Maynard in second, Nick Tyrrell in third, rounding out that podium, Nico Vizzolo as well as Casey Jones in fourth and fifth. Sergey Perok, Nate Sides, Andre Saba, Joe Evers, and Patrick Cantrell in the top 10. Kevin Hazelop down. Pardon me. With Tyler Roberts not starting the race. And in GT3 AM, we'll see the likes of Tim Shaver take home the win there of the 6-car grid with Tom Leeson and Landon Orr on the podium as well. Hayden Mamenga, Zachary Holden, and Wesley Woods rounding out that 6-car grid. All of them finishing on the lead lap, which is pretty cool. All right. Let's pull some drivers in to have a chit-chat. Just pulling everybody in.
It's on me.
Pulling y'all in. Fantastic run there. From all of y'all, really. I would say such quick hands to not have that turn into a Daytona final lap special there after Ascari, Nicholas Maynard.
It's fine. Everything was fine.
Oh, well, at least one of us was in control.
Yeah. Oh, how was the race?
Very easy.
It was a bit of a pressure cooker. Like there was no let up, and then gosh, I think the first or second time Dan sent it into one, I told him, I was like, I didn't know the Mustang could stop that quick. I thought he had me on that. That was a lot of fun. But he just capped it up, and he was forced me into a mistake, and that's what you got to do.
I'd say it definitely looked like Dan was just being immensely patient throughout most of that race.
Yeah, I don't know. We talked about saving tires and after the previous race about Monza, and so I just kind of chilled, and the front left on front engine cars here just absolutely takes a beating. So I was just trying to keep that alive. So I think I still had plenty of grip at the end, so worked out.
Heck yeah.
I didn't hit him. I just want to point out I did not hit him.
I was immensely
mentally you did.
It definitely didn't look like you hit him from the broadcast angle, at least. It just looks like he went so wide coming on the exit. I was like, oh no. And I was just super glad that you caught it before it went sliding back across the track and created the pinball effect.
Yeah. How about that AM up there in qualifying?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Schaefer.
Right before that race, I was in practice, and Nick goes, and here comes Tim about to humble all of us. And I said, no, like, we'll see what happens. And then I turn all my stuff off, all my overlays for qualifying, so I can just kind of focus. And then I checked, and it said first. I'm like, is this fucked? And then I checked the standings, and I was like, holy fuck. And then I go into the main chat, and they're like, whoa, look at Mr. Tim Schaefer up there in on pole position. And I said, yeah, well, Nick, you haven't gone. And I go, Dan's gonna have faster lap than me, and so is Maynard. So I'm like, I'm like, I'm chilling, but yeah. And then I get back down, I'm like, well, I'm definitely not staying in AM after this weekend or after this Tuesday. I think it's over. But that's what I said. I said, if I'm gonna go up, let me go up with a bang and just dominate while I can, and then I'll try and fight for top fives while I'm in pro.
I was gawking at the top speed of your Porsche, dude. It was like 3 or 4 kph faster than what we were running.
And I was running a safe setup. I
Oh,
ran
for
a,
Pete's sake, stop.
I'm not joking. I run ghost setups, which is already safer, and then I was trying out the esports setup, and it felt a little too loose in the corner, so I just threw the safe setup on. So my rear wing was 7.7 on the
Oh,
esports. It's
stop.
5. I'm not joking. It's 5.5 on esports. I ran 7.5. I don't know. Maybe I was just getting good exits. Who knows? But I
Aaron,
feel
I
not
think we need to try
switching
the
cars
Porsche.
next season. I'm not switching cars next season.
100 force to Porsche next season is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I think we have ran a different vehicle. Well, at least I've ran a different vehicle each season. So
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually, you're gonna run out. Well, unless they keep adding more. So just run all of them until you've run them all, and then go back.
then retire.
Yeah, then just retire. Never drive again.
Yeah, give me a chance.
Come join me in the broadcast booth.
It's
Yeah.
funny you say that.
Uh-huh.
Go on.
Yes. There was. I assume there was a second half of that
Dramatic
sentence.
pause.
I was trying to prove a point.
Oh, okay. Oh, skill of
Yeah.
entertainer over here.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
That is one of the.
That's how I
trade-offs.
feel when I immediately set up. Like I go me and P3. I go, where the hell am I? Who are you people?
How was your race?
Very easy. It like I know it's purposeful, but like this track is not. I mean, like once again, I was on a safe setup. This track is not that difficult, and like I was gonna see if I could hold on to a podium. Nick was too fast, and then I was fighting with what's his face in the vet. And
Nico?
on the last lap,
Or Nico?
yeah, Nico, I caught up to him, and I don't know, I finished like a 10th behind him. It was probably less than that on the last corner, and I really wanted. I mean, I still finished top 5. I can't complain, but I really wanted 4th for my ego. But I don't know. I guess I can prove to myself that I can run in the pros when I'm running good. So
Yeah, man.
shouldn't worry too much. But yeah.
Good stuff.
I mean, yeah, Imola was harder for sure. That was I was just because last time last 2 seasons I think it was when I was in the LMP2, I got 2 drive-throughs that race, so my entire mindset was just don't go off track, don't go off track, don't go off track. So I just kind of ran safer that one. Like my start was really bad on that, but I was just like, I'm just competing for class wins. Like, I think with these 2 results, we'll see on the standings, but I assume that I clinched the title before the season ends. So
Nice, man.
I think
We'll
it's very
see.
likely, given the
Yeah.
points disparity between.
Oh yeah, you got a 16-point lead.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for my engraved trophy, and then I can brag that yes, I'm still a virgin.
Pop the champagne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
But no,
alright.
it's fun.
We go to Le Mans next week.
Do we have to?
Yes. Unfortunately, it's not a thing we can get out of. I think, try to set it up to where it's like a pseudo sun. I tried to do the sunset to sunrise thing. Maybe I didn't. I don't remember if I did that for both Nürburgring combined or just Nürburgring combined. We'll find out.
Are you gonna BOP Tim in that? Porsche?
I don't think I'm allowed to. I don't think I have that kind of
okay,
power.
okay.
I just have the power to set weather.
Okay. All right, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Which
That-
may
you know what's happened? Next season I'll get BOP'd, and you won't even see me. I won't ever be in this booth again.
I mean, you can always just like the booth is like half a chill spot as much as talking to winners.
That's why I'm always here, because I'm a chill winner.
That's fair. So, yeah, we get to go to Le Mans, just whether or not we want to.
Okay.
What was the? Sorry, I've been asked. curious because I have asked a couple people, and I want to ask a couple more. What did you think of the rain race last week?
Lovely.
Genuinely or sarcastically?
No, like genuine.
Okay.
Like it's a good way to mix it up, and it throws some curveballs. It's not the same each lap. It changes its dynamic. It really makes a race something you gotta focus on and pay attention to lap after lap.
Heck yeah. Okay, good.
I hate the rain, so I didn't like. I mean, it was all right for like. I just got to get better at it. I never race in the rain, so like the only times that I do, it's literally in the league dedicated races. But
Yeah.
I liked how it would like how it changed though. So it wasn't like I think we had a rain race earlier in the season or last season where it like rained in practice, qualifying, and then the race was fairly dry. That actually felt like a real rain race with some variation and
That was my goal. So
it yeah.
I'm glad that it turned out well.
Yeah, it's good.
Good,
Yeah.
good. So, and we'll have. Hopefully there'll be some fun at Le Mans. We'll find out, since it seems like everybody's not here for Le Mans.
It's
It's
fine.
not my favorite.
I'm curious. I wonder if we could just BOP plus 10% so we all go faster that race.
Except me.
Well, we can
Everybody gets 10 to limit.
Well, then if we don't do that, then I'm sure we'll forget one of the other cars, and then we'll have to feel bad for. I mean, if Tony drives and you don't BOP the Porsche, then he'll get upset. So
Why? Because it'll be his second race that he showed up for, and he got BOP.
technically it's gonna be his third. He showed up 2 weeks,
Okay.
two
All right.
race weeks.
I'm throwing in a drop week in there for him.
Oh yeah, fair. So who knows? No, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I like Le Mans, but I understand why some people don't. I'm also having the fun part of commentating from a booth and not driving Le Mans in a GT3, where I think I've only driven Le Mans in hypercars ever, so I have no idea what it's like in a GT3.
That's what we're doing for the majors. Is the hypercar. Nobody wants to do anything else.
If I wasn't solo managing the bar, I would also be joining y'all for the majors, but it's the same weekend as one of my other managers out of town, so
I thought you were were a lawyer for a second
no.
when I heard the bar.
No, not that kind of bar. Different kind of bar. The bar that you make at, not the bar that you try to pass to be a lawyer. So, all right. Let's wrap up this live stream. Any final thoughts before we let y'all get back to celebrating your various victories and podiums?
Try and qualify P3 next Tuesday. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Mr. Manager,
Get it.
Mr. Griffin?
I got
I'll,
nothing. Trying to. I'll look at a zero wing setup for next week's weekend with him, and go from there.
I'll run 8 at Le Mans to be able
Okay, thanks. Yeah, there we go.
yeah, 7.5 worked at Monza, I'm sure.
It'll be good. It's been an awesome season. I can't believe
for
it's
sure.
already coming to an end.
Really?
Too quick.
So,
Le Mans, it is.
Le Mans, it will be. All right. See y'all in 7 days on the broadcast.
Sounds good.
See ya.